Hi there, I'm Marius and I recently had a discussion about the PowerPages action solution and someone asked me, can you do it with bound APIs as well? You only showed unbound APIs and sure it does work, so let's see how. This time our custom API is bound here to a contact entity, and if you're wondering what this looks like in the back end, you will find here that there's a parameter called target, and this is of type entity reference, and then we can work with this entity reference, for example here, retrieving the record behind this entity reference. Then I have bound this API with PowerPages actions configurations to an operation called greeter bound, and no more settings are taken here. Then on the start page, we have two buttons here, Who am I and Who am I really? I will first talk about Who am I and this little text field down here. And in code, let's first start with the copy. The two buttons you just saw, Who am I, is bound to, or has an onClick function called Who am I, and this passes the user.id property via liquid. And then we have here a second function, Who am I really? And then this text field with ... inside to output our results. In the JavaScript, here, who am I, we get passed in the user ID, and then we build this parameter called target as an entity reference. So we have a logical name, we have an ID, and then we're just calling actions.callAction. And remember, actions.js is imported here in the HTML as a script so that actions.callAction is available. And then on success, we will output the results to the Who am I text field. So let's see how this works. I am logged in here with my user Marius Wodke. I go to the home page, I click on Who am I, and there's already the answer. You are Marius Wodke. And if we look at that with F12, this looks like this. So we are sending the request with the inputs and the input parameter target, which is not a simple type, but this time an object with logical name and ID. And that is everything that is needed for the bound API. In this certain case, because it is bound to contact, we can, of course, cheat a little bit here or make it more secure maybe. Because with Who am I really, I pass in an empty object to an operation called greeter bound secured. Let's take a look at that. So greeter bound secured is bound to the same API we just saw, just that it says pass contact reference in parameter target, and of course, because it only works if someone is logged in, we want to restrict it to authenticated users. And this way, you don't need to pass the target, and thus no one can tamper with the inputs here in the browser. But keep in mind, this only works because the target here is a contact. If it was any other entity, like account, sales order, case, or whatever, your custom entity, you would have to do the authorization on foot. So in that case, you would pass the contact reference in a different parameter, not the target. Target is like in this JavaScript, then here, let's say sales order with the current sales order ID, and then you pass a different parameter, let's call it contact, that holds the contact reference, and then you can verify that, for example, the sales order belongs to this contact. And that's it. We've just called a bound API. See you on the next one.